Coming to you live. It is a Tuesday, and a good afternoon, everybody. Daily Ticket with you here. Oh, a little three-headed monster coming out the chute. You got John Jansen, fresh off a 30th birthday party weekend. Is it still going on?
No. If it was still going on, I wouldn't be here right now. I mean, geez. But no, it's all over with. It's good. It was a fun time. Thanks for showing up. I didn't know if you were going to show up, Brace. You showed up?
Ooh, close.
Yeah, was it? But
Like
it seemed like everybody had a
close.
good time, including yourself. Seemed like you had a good time.
I
So,
shocked even my wife. She's like, wait, you're going still? I can't believe you're going. And I'm like, yep.
I thought it was game time decision because you were golfing, I think,
Correct.
earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And if I was in your position, I probably would not have gone.
No, you were real close to getting a text message going, dude. I can't make
I
it.
thot I was going to get that. I was ready for it.
Yeah.
And I would have been completely fine with that.
Yeah.
Because he had a golf outing. That's what golf does to you.
But it was no, it was fine. And then, kept it going right into Kenny, which was an eventful weekend that I'm still feeling. That's for damn sure. Sean Barnard in studio with us. Of course, we spoke yesterday, all things NBA Finals, with a little sprinkle of Caitlin Clark. Is that a vanilla sprinkle? Am I allowed to say that now? I got one guy over the weekend on socials was like, oh, gee, why is she such a big draw? And it's like he was, implementing that, like, oh, she's a white girl. And that's why it's like, all right, people, we get it. Yeah, we know she's a white girl. Relax. Everybody relax. It's so stupid. The Caitlin Clark conversation.
So still not a basketball thought. No, nothing about
Correct.
Basketball itself.
Correct.
It's everything else other than basketball.
The Caitlin Clark discussion is just.
And I'll say once again, I think she's the only one being normal about all these questions.
Right.
Like the way she's handling it.
Isn't that the problem? It's like she can handle it.
Yeah.
She can handle it herself.
Yeah.
Why is everybody trying to defend her? Caitlin Clark can figure it out on her own.
Yeah.
She's completely fine.
No,
She's she has been. I agree with you. She's been professional about it. It's the people that follow her that are just, it's making it worse.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And all the talk shows and all of the opinions and all of that got to go around. It's just, it hasn't stopped, but whatever. Look, hey, numbers came out yesterday and WNBA is doing really well. So they deserve a ton of credit, and that's across the board. But Sean Barnard with us. Good afternoon, Sean. How are we doing today?
Yeah, good afternoon. No 30th birthday, no Kenny Chesney for me. So a little bit of a quiet weekend from my end.
That sounds nice.
Yeah,
that sounds nice, to be honest.
All right, let's dive right into it. Unfortunately, we just had some breaking news. JT Realmuto with the Joel Embiid injury and torn meniscus is going to get surgery tomorrow. And that's not good. And John, I'll start with you on this one, just from the standpoint of, like, I'm not going to get too crazy. It's 162, but how much is too much for this team? Hopefully Trey Turner's coming back this week. I'm not holding my breath if he does. Brandon Marsh is going to be out for an extended period of time. JT's going to be out now for an extended period of time. And I get it. It's all well and good when you're able to win games, but eventually one of these injuries have to take a toll on the win and loss records for the Phillies here, correct?
I would think this is the one that would be the most concerning because I didn't see too much on Marsh's injury, but none of these have required surgery yet. Surgery is the one thing that they've avoided. That's the big one. This is not good. Not only is it surgery, but it's knee surgery for a catcher mid-season. None of that sounds good for a team that already, and not a lot, by the way, not a lot of teams have catching depth. Right. So it's not like the Phillies' only problem. It's a lot of teams' problem. But the Phillies now have to, for 4 to 6 weeks, it looks like, have to rely on Garrett Stubbs and Rafael Marchand. But even after that, how comfortable would you be if you're a team like the Phillies, where you're World Series contender, you're one of the best teams in the entire league? How comfortable would you be when one of your best players is a catcher and that catcher just had knee surgery mid-season? I would think that catching now becomes a bit of a priority at the trade deadline. Not sure what kind of caliber you go after. I know one name that's available that I absolutely love. Danny Jansen on Toronto has had a really good season. Toronto's just going to unload everything, I think, at the trade deadline. Catching also doesn't get that big of a price, so it's not like you have to spend all that much. It's not like Danny Jansen comes with a lot of money either, so it would be a cheaper option. Still, though, you're going to have to spend some of your resources to get a catcher like Danny Jansen, or do you just go after a team's solid backup that you can get? But either way, they need catching depth because I would not feel comfortable even when Realmuto comes back from injury.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And, we were all singing his praises last week when he took the shot off the groin. And then even in that game, wasn't it against the Brewers? I think it was against the Brewers.
throwers.
Yeah.
He took the shot to the head. It's like that dude is he's a warrior out there. And look, I think Stubbs has played well in his opportunities, but putting him out there in a day-to-day, I just don't know if that's going to work out for the Phillies. Let's just put it that way. But to your point, John, teams, it's somewhat similar to backup quarterbacks, right? Like there isn't a lot of good backup quarterbacks in the league. There's not a lot of good backup catchers in the league.
Yeah. It's similar in that way.
For sure. And obviously, it's not a good thing that there is an injury. Ideally, this is not the case. And particularly with a catcher, something like a knee injury is worrisome. But to put a little bit of the glass half full, we've seen how good this Phillies team can be already this season. The baseball season is a long grind, that it is better to get this out of the way now, get him fully healthy, and then get back to finding the stride that they've already been on once he is healthy and the rest of the guys filling in as well. So you never want to see it happen. But I will look a little bit positive that it is happening right now rather than when it is closer to this postseason push in October or something like that. And I also think Garrett Stubbs is a little better than the perception of him.
True.
I think his off-field comments bother people far more than his actual play. And I think he's at least passable if they need him to be.
Yeah, passable. I think you need a little bit more than that, potentially. Now, the good thing is you do have two things here about the timing. That's good. You will probably know within 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to be closer to the trade deadline. You will know where Realmuto's at. So you'll have an idea of how healthy is he going to be? Is he going to be 100%? Is this something that we're going to need to address? And then they have time to actually address what could be a potential issue at catcher. So yeah, the timing of it, yes, any injury, obviously no injuries at all would be great. But, getting this now, knowing that you can still fix this issue or you have a chance to fix something like this at the trade deadline is certainly a good thing. So the timing of it does work out to where they'll know where he's probably at in his rehab by the time they get to the trade deadline. And they'll know who's available and what kind of catcher, what caliber of catcher they're going to need to get.
Yeah, look, I don't really put too much stock into what, Stubbs said in a celebratory fashion after they won the NLDS or whatever it was. It's like, he wanted to have some fun with it. Oh, well.
It was a little brutal. But
they didn't age well.
They,
for sure.
They definitely didn't age well. You're right about that. But, in his defense, the vibes were high. And, of course, they were just riding them. But
I know, because I will admit, I was eating that quote all up.
We were right there.
I was like, I'll jump in the pool with you. Let's have some fun.
Well, here we are with JT Realmuto. Of course, going to be out for probably 4 to 6 weeks, to each their own how they recover. But especially with the fact that that's what he does is bend over, to crouch. Yeah, that's what he does. He crouches. It's going to be a tough injury for him to get right back into it. And I'm sure they're going to take their time with this. Hopefully the Phillies can find their way to a few victories over the stretch as they have.
And maybe
been.
this can be an appreciation for how healthy Realmuto has been for a catcher, which is pretty good. These games that he's played, 145 games when he first got to the Phillies in 2019. COVID shortened season 47. Then after that, 134, 139, 135. Wow. Pretty consistent for a catcher. He's not ever going to play 162. But if I can get close to 140 out of a catcher like that, phenomenal numbers for somebody that's been available for them. So that is one thing I will appreciate a lot about JT. His availability has been very good for a guy that's in his 30s too, catching.
Well, Phillies return to action. Matter of fact, there's not a team with a day off in Major League Baseball. All 30 teams in action this evening, and they're all evening games, all nighttime games, with the first one being the red-hot Baltimore Orioles taking on the extremely disappointing Atlanta Braves. We'll touch on the Orioles in just a second here because I want to talk about them and what they did.
Yeah, because I watched that game last night. They can mash anybody.
The Phillies are heading up to Boston to take on the Red Sox, and Zach Wheeler gets to start this evening, minus 155. So he'll be going with Stubbs this evening instead of JT Realmuto. I don't really think that that's going to be too much of an issue. You're talking about Zach Wheeler, and he's been through this league many
and
times.
I think we've seen some. I think there are some pitchers in the Philly staff that actually do have better numbers with Stubbs behind the plate. So it's not like it's not like there's a big difference in terms of calling a game between JT and Garrett Stubbs. They both seem pretty good at that.
Everything is slowed down too with the introduction of the earpiece. It's like the communication is there. You hit a button, he says no. Keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. And it's really simplified itself over the last few seasons. So I don't have that much of an issue, I didn't think there would be that much of an issue going from Realmuto to Stubbs as far as calling the game. But you do know that there are certain pitchers that feel more comfortable out there with said catcher and a little bit more relaxed and maybe know there are times that you probably as a pitcher got a guy in a 1-2 count, and it's like JT knows what Zach Wheeler wants to go with right here, right now. Maybe Stubbs might, mess with that. I don't know. So be something to keep our eyes on. Again, just completely nitpicking at this point in time.
Yeah.
It does suck though. JT is such a heartbeat for this operation. Proved his worth last week more than ever in everybody's eyes, in my mind. Just taking that shot to the groin, getting up, taking the forearm to the head. It's just like the appreciation needs to be at the utmost level right now for JT. And of course, losing him for the next 6 weeks, I'm sure is only going to raise exactly what I just said there a little bit more for Phillies fans. But again, tonight, back at it once again. DraftKings Sportsbook showing Zach Wheeler minus 155. Cutter Crawford, great name for a pitcher.
Yeah.
Cutter Crawford.
Cutter's making a comeback. Cutter, there was the Flyers dude. Cutter, what was his name? Gaethje? No, Gauthier, something like that. That was a Cutter.
Yeah,
popping up everywhere.
Cutter. Well, they will be going tonight. That is a 7:35.
He's got to have a cutter as a pitch then. Right?
I would assume
you can't have your name Cutter and not install a cutter into your repertoire.
That is a 7.10 first pitch. Cutter this year, 3.51 ERA and 13 starts, 2-5 on the season, 29 earned runs, 71 strikeouts, and 74 innings pitched. Last year, he had 31 starts for the Red Sox, had a 4.04 ERA, so serviceable. And not that bad this year, 3.51, as I said. So we'll see how the Phillies react from the trip across the pond. Then they come back. They got 2 road series. Luke detailed that. He didn't like how that one played out from the schedule maker perspective. I totally understand it. But, look, I think this is what happens when you have to go play in these series to grow the game across the pond. And somebody's going to get the short end. I don't know where the Mets are going. I didn't pay attention to them. But as far as the Phillies, they got 2 road series coming.
Mets are at home against the Marlins.
So they got a nice little breather there.
Good for them.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Anyways, Red Sox did just take on the White Sox, and they ended up splitting 2 out of 4 on the road in Chi-Town. Last time last time they did play was on Sunday, and they ended up beating the White Sox 6-4. All right. Speaking of the White Sox, real quick, if we could, we'll continue the discussion for the Phillies. Get involved in the conversation at Fox PHL Gambler. But last night was crazy in the world of baseball. And again, there's not much happening, right? We did have Stanley Cup Finals, which was a dud, real frustrating game from the standpoint of Edmonton Oilers. I thought that they would be putting up a little bit more of a fight here, but Florida Panthers are pretty damn good defensively. Anyways, Major League Baseball yesterday. Let's start with the Chicago White Sox. And point blank, if you haven't been paying attention, they are the worst team in baseball. They have 17 wins. They're 17-50. If it can happen to this team, it will happen to this team. They're 5-27 on the road. Now, yesterday, they were on the road in Seattle, and they were winning 4-0 heading into the bottom of the 8th inning. Seattle ties the game up in the bottom of the 8th, 4-4, then goes to the bottom of the 9th, tie game, 4-4, bases juiced. And this is how it played out. Again, if it can happen, it will happen to the White Sox.
Here's the stretch and the 2-0 on the way to Cal Raleigh. Swinging a well-hit ball deep to right field. Going. Get out the right bread and mustard. It is grand salami time. A walk-off grand slam for Cal Raleigh. And the Mariners win it. They win it 8-4 in an amazing comeback here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Did my man say get out the
bread and mustard?
Bread?
Yeah, I can go for one of those
That's
right now.
Call.
That sounds like a great sandwich. Nice
wild.
Little snack of a sandwich.
So
sounds good.
Which is just insane in its own right? Like just the way that game played out, grand slam the win. But then you do some digging on the timeline in the world of sports gambling, and welcome to the party, North Carolina. They just went legal a few months ago or a couple weeks ago. A winner in North Carolina won $88,000 plus money on a $900 6-leg MLB WNBA parlay last night. This is a few shops have this count up. So let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, it's real. And one of those plays, the Mariners -1.5 at -105.
Wow.
6 plays. He had the Orioles, the Brewers, the Twins, the Mariners, the Yankees, and the Connecticut Sun -10.5.
That was an easy one.
And yes, it was. And the final leg was that Mariners game right there. Are you kidding me? Could you imagine? First of all, what is your life like that you can lay a $900 6-leg MLB WNBA parlay on a Tuesday night? Let's ask that question. That's one. And then 2, to cash it, $88,792.97. And of course, Uncle Sam says, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm going to take my cut as well. All right. From that game that took place last night in Seattle, two questions for you boys. Did you know that when a team has a 3-game schedule or a 4-game, schedule against an opposing team, say the Phillies and Mets, and they win all those games, we call it a
sweep?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Do you know now what they're calling a 4-game sweep?
What's that?
A mop.
Really? I have not
Really?
heard that.
I don't
ever.
like that.
Yeah, I don't.
Why is it called a mop?
I don't know.
What's the difference between it?
It's 4 over 3.
So all of a sudden there's hardwood floors what?
Yeah, I never heard that.
Do you need that deep of a cleaning?
I didn't make the rules. I'm just
No,
going by.
that's stupid. Who's making that up?
I heard it on MLB
No,
Network.
Fine.
A
No.
mop.
No, I'm already shooting that down.
So
No,
the Baltimore Orioles mopped, and man, the Orioles are just
swept.
You don't want to go with.
No, mop sounds dumb.
I kind of dig it.
I hate it. That sounds dumb.
Baltimore has now mopped Tampa Bay twice in this season. This is crazy. The Baltimore Orioles are insane, but the funny part is they're still in second place behind the Yankees. They're 43-22 this season, kicking butt and taking names. Yankees are 47-21 at the top of the NL East, which is crazy. But again, just the Orioles and what they're doing this year, something that we haven't seen before. I know they had a great season last year, but winning at the pace, at the rate that they are right now. And oh, by the way, sweeping/mopping these teams up the way that they are. Pretty impressive there.
Stop trying to make it work.
Also,
it's been impressive. The only thing that worries me, though, is the back end of their bullpen, especially Craig Kimbrell and their use of him. He was all over the place again last night. That's going to be an issue heading into the playoffs. It's not an issue now because they can just mash their way through a season, which they did even last night. They look great at the dish. But Kimbrell worries the hell out of me.
He should.
He looks all over.
We've been through it.
Yeah.
We've seen that.
Just cut him now and you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he can get you through
at the end of July.
Season,
end of July, cut him, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, just
get all the good months out of the way.
Get him out of your mind, and you will be better off for it because he's going to eat up innings. He's going to be but he's
going to cost you a game in the postseason when you use him in a big spot.
If you're lucky, it's only one.
Yeah, true. Yeah, if you're lucky.
I do have a little bit of breaking news that I'm trying to get to the full bottom of here regarding an American hero right here in Joey Chestnut.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Caitlin Clark.
No, Joey Chestnut has been banned from the 2024 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest.
No!
For seemingly endorsing a vegan Frankfurter company.
Wow. Say it ain't so.
Yeah, this man might be a sellout, man. I hate to say it. But that's what it's looking like. I'm trying to get to the bottom of what specifically got him banned. Did he try and get those vegan hot dogs in? What was the deal? But yeah, not good news. Joey Chestnut banned from the 2024 hot dog eating contest.
I would love to see what would happen if they used vegan hot dogs and how upset
it's like
millions
PEDs.
of Americans would be.
Yo, yeah, you're right.
Oh my, could you imagine the outrage?
Yeah, people
by this country. the divide on like vegan hot dogs against Nathan hot dogs. That'd be great.
I stand with Nathan's that's not an even playing field there. You can't let them. If that was what was going on, you can't have vegan hot dogs and beef hot dogs being in the same contest here. That's different.
Was he trying to use them in the contest, or was he just endorsing them as like a deal? So just getting money to endorse a vegan hot dog.
Unclear in my research to this point. This is just breaking right now. Definitely endorsed. It's through an Impossible Foods, which my mom is vegetarian. She does eat the Impossible burgers. I will acknowledge that. Yeah,
they're good. Some of that stuff with the texture though, because I had like vegan meatballs.
The only thing,
the other week,
really mushy.
It's like, come on, man. But no. So here's the deal: when you get those things, you have to do your best to char them up. And if you don't, then I didn't like it. I was just like, I had 2 or 3 of them, and which is probably a lot for some people, but whatever. I had 2 or 3 and kept it moving, but focus more on the spaghetti, on the pasta than the meatballs. But yeah, look, I don't have an issue, but you're right, John.
It'd be amazing. The outrage. We would finally stop talking about Caitlin Clark for like 5 seconds.
Kid Rock would be out there shooting a vegan hot dog package outside his farm.
It looks like Joey Chestnut pinned himself in a corner here. That, per the New York Post here, part of his endorsement deal with Impossible Foods was to use the vegan hot dogs on the stage. That was shot down by Nathan's, who runs the contest. So he kind of got himself in a pickle, is what it looks like.
You know what, man? There's nothing better. There's nothing better for eyes on an event.
What do you think would be harder to eat? An actual hot dog or a vegan hot dog? I guess the actual hot dog would be worse. I'm assuming.
I don't think you could tell the difference.
But is there any? Yeah, I was about to say, is there any science to be like he would be cheating?
Again,
like somebody using better equipment or like too sticky
first
of a glove or
first
something
of all,
for a wide receiver.
I smell a little something. I smell a little something going on around here because
publicity.
Yeah, that's what that's coming down to. That's one, which is good. Good, nice work all the way around. You got yourself.
We're talking about a hot dog eating contest when it's not July 4th.
I'm interested.
You're not going to roll up to a Nathan's hot dog eating contest and being like, can I bring my own hot dogs? Sorry, no, that's not how it works. Everybody's eating the same damn dog here. That's all right. Joey Chestnut, is anybody doing anything bigger than him when it comes to the world of hot or competitive eating?
Kobayashi is the only other one.
Kobayashi's still in the game?
No, he's done now. But that was the only guy that I feel like was in that stratosphere. That was the Jordan LeBron of competitive eating.
Not really, because they actually went face to face, and then Chestnut was just dominating him the entire time.
What if I was able to
Chestnut's like the undisputed GOAT at this.
What if we got a sponsorship around here that was like,
I'm not doing eating
a Fourth of July, and then no, it's not you having to eat it. I need you to go up and get us footage from the splash zone.
I would do it.
Would you do? Oh, it's disgusting. Disgusting.
Throw a little bib on, I'll be all right.
I don't think
I'd be throwing up.
Yeah,
No, I'm passing.
I'm passing. I'm not doing that.
Nope. I can handle that one. I would find entertainment in part of that for sure.
It's disgusting. Nice work there. All right. Keeping it moving if we could. Oh yeah. Speaking of, what else do you know what they're calling it from the world of the mop? You know that there's this craze going on now, right? And I know everybody wants to focus on Beyonce, and she came up with that country album. But this has been something that's been going on for quite some time now, where country has kind of morphed into this whole new ballpark of like this new sound and like really like throwing some lyrics behind it, some hip hop type vibe through it.
Yeah, it's pop now. It's more pop than
I've seen it referred to as hick hop.
Hick hop. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
I
All
have.
right. So hick hop.
I've never heard of that.
You said hick hop and mopping and mop.
I was just saying it's turned into pop. It's pop country.
It's not, look.
I mean, the pioneers are Florida Georgia Line, all right? They're the pioneers of this.
Are they?
Oh my God, yeah. Pop country, like the bro country stuff.
Yeah, but
this is different. We're talking about
it's more
like Shabuzi,
right, but it's more
song.
it is morphed from that.
Shabuzi is a hit, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he called it somebody was calling it like a Western hip hop. I forget what it was. I don't know. Hey, look, if there's a market out there and people want to listen to your music, who am I to tell you that, it's good or not? But, knock yourself out. It is kind of little, let's just say Fisher Pricey to me. Kind of like, all right, you're taking this little and then coming up with these simple lyrics. But hey, that's somewhat of like the world of country music anyways. So
True.
I do dig the Beyonce stuff. I won't lie about that.
I like Shabuzi a lot too. And,
do you?
I do.
Like other than that one song,
I've seen like him play. Like I don't even. That's the only song
he was at the Roots picnic, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he really? I saw a video of him kind of backstage strumming down in Barstool, Nashville, which was pretty cool. Like he can straight up like actually play the guitar. Like he's actually musically talented, not like a gimmick kind of thing. I guess is kind of my angle there. Also,
I haven't checked it out yet. Maybe I will. I'm still stuck in the Billie Eilish album, so I can't get off of that.
By the way, Luke Arcaney chiming in, speaking of the food contest, saying that he's doing the 999 challenge on Saturday.
Oh, come on.
No way.
Disgusting.
That's ridiculous.
Shabuzi from Virginia. He is from Woodbridge in Virginia. Alt country is the genre. Started in 2014. Yeah, so he's been doing it for a little bit longer than just like right now. Yeah, look, he came out in 2018 with his original album called Lady Wrangler. And then the following year, we came out with Cowboys Live Forever. Outlaws Never Die. That sounds good, right there. That's a nice tagline. On that. Shabuzi. I don't know where the name came from. All right. From MLB, let's keep it moving. Again, Phillies back in action. Anything for you today on the Red Sox, Jansen, and the Phillies?
No, not really. The Red Sox have actually been kind of decent.
33 and
500 this season. Yeah, so nothing too bad. Really, it's their hitting's actually been pretty good. Pitching staff, a little bit of work, but the thing is, if you compare any pitching staff to the Phillies, it's never going to keep up. Obviously, the Phillies are a better team. You trust Wheeler. The big thing is they're coming back. I don't know what the numbers would be, but they're coming back from London. I don't know what the offense is going to look like after such a long layoff and also having to fly, overseas, all that stuff. So I don't know what the offense is going to be. They're going to be a little sluggish. So I'd stay off of it. This wouldn't be a game I'd love going after the Phillies in this first game back.
I'm in the same boat here. This is a stay away game for me. I still think that they likely get it together, that they have been an all business team in general, but there is something too. That's a lot of travel. It does feel like a bit of a letdown spot. And I kind of think it's a stay away spot just because of that. So maybe get involved from a little player prop action. Bryce Harper. We have not seen the June Schwarber flip the switch just yet. So maybe if you want to get in on that. But yeah, I think from the Phillies side of things, I would stay away today.
Yeah, at Fenway Park, though, it could be another spot for the showman to come on out there and continue to do what he's been able to do all season. And, man, he's just awesome. Bryce Harper, of course, I'm talking about. Cutter Crawford is a righty, so possibly to take a look at. Let's fire up DraftKings. I got it open in front of me. As I said, went over those numbers. Let's just take a peek at something from the standpoint of Mr. Harper here. He is plus 330 to go yard. Total bases, always looking at the total bases. Bryce Harper over 1.5 at minus 120. Sure, I'm in on it, but this might be a little spot to just kick back, enjoy Phillies baseball back in our lives on the East Coast here. Normal timeline, normal announcers, bring them back. Thank God, and we'll go about business that way. Once again, coming up tonight, 7:10 first pitch. All right, before we get into the NBA Finals and mixing in some other odds and ends, I do want to bring this up. For some odd reason, people it's NFL. I get it. It controls all, and we need something to talk about. But I just don't understand this Jalen Hurts nonsense. No.
I refuse to even listen to the quote.
Yeah,
I refuse.
I haven't. Instead, I would rather talk about Aaron Rodgers is missing a mini camp with the New York Jets. It's not excused, but him and Saleh talked about it. And he said that the event was, quote, important to him. So we have to ask, what is it? Where is he right now? Where in the world is Aaron Rodgers? And again, I don't know. Do you get the vibe like that none of this matters because it is summertime and it's June 11th? It doesn't have anything to do with that first game of the regular season. But I will tell you, there was a Jets player. I forget who it was. And it was like, yeah, I'm missing training camp. That's not important. Isn't there something to be said about having everybody, on the same page, moving in the right direction, thinking along those same lines? But the Jets are always going to be the Jets. Yeah. I'm never going to get that feeling out of my head. And regardless of what Aaron Rodgers could do whatever he wants, it comes down to him being healthy, and that's it. But when you have other players on the Jets and then they're saying it out loud to the media, it's not that important. It's training camp. Like, what am I going to learn? That was his quote. And you have to ask yourself, I don't know.
Do you think if most players are being truthful, they would say that? I know you don't want to say.
Yeah, but are you hearing that in Kansas City? Are you hearing that with Belichick in New England? Do you think
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes at this point are like, this is so important right now? This is really important. This is just, hey,
they got a decorated wrist to tell you why.
Yeah,
but they're not going to say it out loud, though.
They're not going to say it out. That's the only thing. Is saying it out loud is a different point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure most of these guys, training camp, and most of these have been
not fun.
Recently, the importance of them has been kind of dwindling down. Nobody really finds these important. Important is once you get to, training camp, closer to the season, they find that really important. Not even the preseason games, training camp, end of July, early August, that's really important. The inter-squad scrimmages, all that stuff, and going up against other teams in scrimmages, that's the important stuff. But right now, no, it is just getting healthy, going through the motions again, getting a little bit back in football shape. That's all this is about. So if players are being honest, that's what most of them would say, I would assume. But it is weird hearing it from a player just saying it out loud.
And you're the Jets.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're the Jet. Yeah, and you're the Jet.
That's the big issue for me. It's like you guys have never been good at all. It was Breece Hall who said it too. And the expectations are there for these young guns like Breece Hall, like Garrett Wilson. And I get it, man. It's live your truth, fine, but there's another thing to be said that, like, okay, maybe there is another rookie that comes along and it's like, man, okay, that's how Breece Hall feels. Well, that's how I'm gonna feel. And I just, again, like the Rodgers stuff doesn't bother me. Like, again, he's been at every practice. If he's healthy, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
We know how good he is. And he's not running for vice president, which that clearly would have taken him off the practice field for times, I think. I don't know if he would have been able to been the starting quarterback and be the vice president at the same time. I don't know.
Would be
Probably-
hilarious.
probably
Injury
not.
reports. The injury reports would be electric for all of that for sure. I am dying to know where he is, which is so important to Aaron Rodgers. And
Yeah,
it-
injury
he's-
report just says like campaign rally. Or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Speech, questionable, all that type of thing.
It could be-
Questionable electoral college decision. Yeah.
It could be anything with him. That's the best part about it. It could be some
Truly.
So exactly. Some ayahuasca festival down in Argentina. It could be some book convention, and I don't know, right? But-
Speaking about psychedelics in Congress, which
Yes.
he's also done.
Yes. Death to Fauci chant. Like he could be leading the march down there in DC, whatever it may be. Yeah, he's out of his mind. But again, I do want to point out, though, for the Roger detractors, he's been at every practice and then some. So it means nothing. If he's healthy, that's all that matters. But over to Jalen Hurts, are we guessing at all about like what people are fired up about? Because it's just absurd.
No, I'm not going to guess. The only thing I've heard about, because I haven't heard the quote because I don't really care about a quote right now in June about what anybody has to say. But it was like, oh, it was a weird quote from Jalen Hurts. Has Jalen Hurts ever given like a quote that wasn't weird or wasn't in like spoken in tongues, like a different language? Like it all is just a bunch of Sabanisms. It's all a bunch of weird. He's never going to give you anything. So I don't know how all of a sudden this is a something that like, oh, he said he was kind of weird about it or beating around the bush. He does with every answer. Every answer he does, he gives you something that's completely nothing and that you don't have to break down all that much.
Yeah, it's
Like, I feel like when Jalen Hurts speaks, he's like speaking in riddles. And like I have to just figure out what rat poison is, stuff like that. I don't. You don't have to take anything away from these.
And that's
It's
all
fine.
the quotes that I've seen have just been stuff like that. Like there's nothing that is like perked my eyes up or ears up. It was like, that's a little weird. It's just Jalen Hurts speaking like Jalen Hurts is exactly what it is. And if people want to read into that far too much, then that's their own business.
I mean,
But
if you heard it, is that what it sounds like?
it was, I just read it. I didn't listen to him speak it, but nothing that I read like
It
made
just sounds
me
like a
go,
usual
yeah.
Jalen Hurts quote. Yeah.
so stupid. Well, that other station, of course, they talk football all day, every day. Good for them. And they got to make something out of nothing here. So knock yourself out. I guess that's what everybody is discussing right now.
Do we care if coaches and players are all best buddies? Do we really care about that?
Well, I think it goes to the fact that how this team struggled last year. And that was one of the big question marks, was the connection between the coach and the quarterback. So, you want to make sure that everything is on the up and up as we enter a new season. But I don't think any of that.
I mean, is that what's going to lose them games? I don't know. I never understood that.
Comes down to winning and whether or not, look, if this team doesn't win, that relationship doesn't matter. I think
Absolutely.
It's a results industry.
I think Sirianni could very well be out.
I'm sure there are quarterbacks that haven't like their coaches that have won.
Yeah.
Plenty. By the way, one of the most winning quarterbacks of all time, notoriously hated his coach by the end of his tenure in New England.
You wouldn't be talking about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, would you?
No.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's always going to be differences. And especially after a season like that, there should be differences in trying to figure this out. No, it doesn't have to be all like sunshine and roses and rainbows in the Eagles locker room. It'll be fine. They're all professional. They're all good at their jobs, I would say. Nick Sirianni's been to a Super Bowl. I think the guy's good enough. So if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But yeah, they can win without the quarterback and coach having this unbelievable relationship. It'll be fine.
Could not agree with you more there, John Jansen. All right, let's move off from something that means absolutely nothing to what means everything in the world of the NBA.
All the marbles.
NBA Finals. Nice work. All the marbles.
Is it already over?
No.
Well, that's where I want to get your opinion, John Jansen, because I say yes. Sean Barnard says no. John Jansen, where do you go as far as the NBA Finals is concerned with the Dallas Mavericks now down 0-2, but game 3 and 4 back in Dallas? Where do you stand on this NBA Finals?
There still is two things that you could go on the side of Dallas with, is that they get a home game. Let's see how they play at home. That's number one.
Yep.
Also, I think Kristaps got injured at the end of game 2.
Yep.
Did not play the last 4 minutes. What's his status going to be like? Is he going to be 100%? Is he going to be effective? So there are some things that you could maybe say in the pro Dallas side that are still in their favor. I just think the way Boston plays and the amount of spacing that they have as an offense, Dallas's defense isn't doing as well. Dallas's defense is the reason why they're in the NBA Finals. Part of it is offensively, and Luka Doncic is one of the great scorers and really just great offensive players in the NBA. Kyrie Irving's a really good scorer. So they have offensive things that are good, but it's really their improvements defensively, and especially when they got Gafford and PJ Washington and how they protected the rim, that was really good. But that's not where you have to defend Boston. You have to defend Boston on the perimeter, and you have to defend a lot of their guards. And that's been the biggest problem, is Luka and Kyrie can't guard still. So your rim protection's kind of gone because of the spacing. The middle of the paint isn't as crowded as it was when you were facing Rudy Gobert in Minnesota. So they were trying to counter that with Maxi Kleber, but then he ended up getting hurt. He wasn't playing well. So I don't know if there's a counterpunch that Dallas has to this. Of course they can win a game because offensively they are good, and you have the best player I still think on the floor in Luka Doncic. It's just going to be really difficult. The matchup does seem to be a bit too much for Dallas here.
That's where I'm at, and it seems like a lot of people are coming over to that, but that's understood because they're down 0-2 at this point in time, and everyone's definitely left with a bad taste in their mouth.
Look, Boston can go cold from 3.
Yeah,
all these things can happen.
They did,
and they will.
They were atrocious, but Dallas was just as bad.
Yeah.
That's the issue right now.
Yeah.
I do agree with a lot of what's being said about Kyrie Irving, and if this team wants to win and get this back to it being a series that they could compete in, it's got to come down to Kyrie, and I think you're going to get a much better performance from Kyrie. I also think you're going to get a much better performance from Jason Tatum, though. So does that, cancel itself out? I don't know. But your thoughts right now, Sean Barnard, for game 3 tomorrow night, 8:35 p.m.
I still lean towards the Mavericks, like at least showing a pulse and winning at least a game. My biggest concern is with Luka from a health status, that I do think he's truly beat up. There's just the update from Tim McMahon of ESPN here saying that Luka Doncic received a pain-killing injection before game 2 to numb the area of his thoracic contusion, which is that rib injury there. Oof. The expectation is that Doncic will get another shot before game 3. So not ideal there that they're working with. And there's issues on both sides of the ball with the Mavericks. The Kyrie stuff is absolutely true. As a team, they're averaging 93.5 points per game. That's just not enough in today's NBA. And even with the defense being a part of their identity, because that's absolutely been one of their massive changes, you got to get in the triple digits to beat the Celtics team. And they have to find a way to generate enough offense beyond just Luka Doncic. Even as beat up as Luka has been, he's been just fine. He's been very good in this series. It's the other guys that do need to step up. Kyrie at the forefront of that. PJ Washington, got to show me something. Derek Jones Jr., give me anything. Derek Lively, a little bit of a pulse. They got to find something from the other guys. As a team, they're shooting 65% from the free throw line, behind the three-point arc, 24.5% as a team. That's just not going to cut it. You got to find a way to produce more than that. I do think it will be helpful to have the home crowd behind them and not in that Boston arena, which is a difficult place to play for sure. But the bottom line is these are internal issues that the Mavericks need to make. And if they don't by tomorrow, it's too late on the series.
But it should be no surprise that they are struggling against a backcourt like that.
Sure.
All the guards they can throw at him, because Drew Holiday, a little bit of length, good defender. Derek White, you can throw at him. I saw Jason Tatum on him at times. So they can throw all of these different matchups at him, and all of them seem to be pretty good matchups against Kyrie. And you can throw fresh matchups, different matchups.
Yikes.
So, it's going to be really hard, I think, for Kyrie. But eventually he is going to put up some points. He's too good.
Breaking news from Sham Sharania right here saying Celtics Kristaps Porzingis suffered a torn medial retinaculum, allowing a dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon. So I don't know what any of that means, but
none of that
sounds
great. Good.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next question, was whether or not we have had an update on Porzingis' injury, which is not crazy because he's been such a strength for them in every possible area, whether it's defense and he doesn't have to do anything, just controlling the lane, not able to get the lobs going. He's a huge piece to the Boston Celtics puzzle on defense. On offense, we talked about it yesterday. He's just sitting outside the three-point line. It opens it up for, of course, the penetration, which they have been doing really, really well, getting to the rack, giving it off. Drew Holiday laid it in a ton. He finished with 26. That was a huge reason why. And then everything else that Porzingis says, there's no one that can guard him, that it's not a mismatch, right? Like, who is the one guy that could be able to get out there that has the size that, can not allow him to just pull up? Like, he's out there on the elbow, boom, he's got whoever up against him, doesn't matter, pulls up.
Yeah.
And it just counts. It's a smooth shot. He's doing it all. He was not a defensive liability. He looked like he was well rested. He looked like he was in tune. The flow was there. Wasn't too much for him to start up after missing whatever it was. I know it wasn't a lot of games, but was it about five weeks he was out? Yeah, about a month. And that was one question mark I had. Like, all of a sudden you're throwing him back into the NBA Finals. And then he answered those calls, and then some in game one with his play, that to the point that everybody was giving him the MVP award already, cashing those tickets. And I said, hold up, they play 7 in this series. We'll see how long it goes. And then now here we are. He had to come out of the game. He still filled up box score pretty good in game 2, but he left. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, if you want to give Dallas a shot to come back into the series, get rid of Porzingis. That does make me think differently about game 3 and this series moving forward, Sean.
Celtics are saying Porzingis is day-to-day. From my brief Googling around, it seems like there's no chance that he'll play. They're calling it a rare injury that is unrelated to his previous calf strain. I don't doubt that it's not related to that previous injury.
I thought it was on a different leg.
Yeah.
Day-to-day?
Day-to-day.
Well, that's
crazy.
what they need to say.
Yeah, the bottom line is I think we just saw the end of Kristaps Porzingis in this year's finals, but to an extent, he did his job. That you essentially won them a game. You swung 2 games in a major way. Obviously, the ideal situation is there for the long haul, but he provided a positive impact for this team. That's what he was asked to do. I did love his quote following the game, by the way, that's saying, "I'm willing to die out there," about playing through injury. I like where your head's at, but it does feel like that is the end of the Porzingis in the NBA Finals, at least for this year. I feel bad for the guy, but I mean, from the Celtics, from the Mavericks perspective, you got to be jumping for joy a little bit here that you do have a bit of an opportunity. That did feel like the matchup that they had no counter for. I thought Maxi Kleber was the option for them because at least he can rotate out of the perimeter, and he is 6'10". He's not Kristaps Porzingis, but he's certainly closer to that than Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford is. So they don't have to worry about that as much anymore. I do think that unlocks a decent bit of options as far as it's not going to be as much 5-out basketball. Even Horford, who has turned himself into a very good shooter, he's not Kristaps Porzingis. He's not a guy that is striking fear into your heart. So this is definitely in the Mavericks' favor, and they got to punish him. But again, there's internal issues that they need to address before they're even worried about the Celtics.
Wow. That is a monster.
That's a big shift in this series.
Yes,
big time.
Absolutely it is. Any movement as far as the spread here? So DraftKings, it was 1.5. Now we're back up to 2. Mavs given 2 here. Did open at 2.5. Came it just immediately down to 1.5.
Surprised me, by the way. I thought the Celtics were going to open up as favorites for this game.
It's the NBA Finals.
Sure.
Yeah, home advantages, home court advantages have played a lot.
Yeah,
but Boston
played a part in a lot.
Boston was,
-7.
7, 8, 9 at some shops and certain books as far as road favorites. It was ridiculous. I don't know. I looked at it quite the other way, Sean, where I was going, that's not enough for the odds makers on Dallas' side to make me believe that they think Dallas has a shot. I kind of thought it was a little low from Dallas. I thought, okay, if you're going to make Dallas a 3 or 4 point favorite, it might be death, because who the hell would take the Dallas Mavericks even that many, especially after the first 2 games. But if you believe that there's ebbs and flows to this, and I think a lot of people are like, yep, they handle business. They won their 2 games in Boston. Now back to Dallas. Everything's going to be a little bit more comfortable for Kyrie and the supporting cast. Watch out. But there are so many question marks right now. And as you pointed out, it starts with Luka's health. And now we got Porzingis into the mix now. Yeah, this is one of those spots where I still am going to believe that this series is not going to change, but I definitely believe it's going to be a little bit more interesting, which is good because we've had 2 blowouts.
Yeah, for sure. And from the Kyrie conversation, I'm not going to discount, I'm sure the crowd playing back in Boston was a part of it, But the reality to me is I think this was way more about like Jaylen Brown swallowing him up. Drew Holiday playing phenomenal defense. That this didn't feel like Kyrie just off his game. The Celtics were just all over the place, that they were using their length, their size, their athleticism, and all guys that are just very good defenders. So that's stuff that Kyrie's got to figure out on his own. And when you've been around for as long as Kyrie has, which involves playing with some of these guys, there's going to be a bit of a book on you. So you got to come up with a counter to that. That also shifts things to Jason Kidd, maybe run some screens to create different looks for him, kind of create plays rather than letting him just get into his ISO bag, which tends to be what Kyrie does best. So I would like to see a little bit more creativity out of Dallas to free him up for 4 shots, to make his life easier rather than so much of Kyrie's production is him doing it on his own and creating for himself. Make it a little bit easier on the guys, what I would like to see, especially in the early minutes of the game, to start to build a little confidence.
Joe Mazzulla said it is a, quote, serious injury.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Day to day.
He's not playing.
Look, the team did what they needed to do. You do say day to day, but he's cooked. Well, that definitely changes some things, that's for sure. So we'll be all over it tomorrow. We'll be discussing all things NBA Finals. Oh, by the way, we are hosting a watch party tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun inside the Duncan Lounge. Sean Barnard will be there. I'll be there rocking out. Campbell Gang's going to be hanging out, and we'll be live once again starting at about 8:25 tomorrow night for Game 3 right here inside the Duncan Lounge. All right. Last one, Jansen, quickly on this one. Who's your through 2 games NBA Finals MVP?
Oh, is it just Jaylen Brown? Can I just say Jaylen Brown? I imagine Jaylen Brown.
You could say Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
If I was putting in a finals bet right now for MVP, it would be Jaylen Brown. My pick after 2 games would be Drew Holiday.
Yeah. You said that yesterday. And
Drew Holiday, yeah, that's defensively the way he's playing.
Yeah, and led the team in scoring.
Which I believe.
Which people do take that into account. Obviously, Andre Iguodala is the greatest example of it.
Yeah.
So,
I believe he was 100-1 coming into the series to be NBA MVP, Finals MVP. He's now plus 750.
Where's Jason Tatum right now?
Tatum is plus 150.
Still plus 150 now.
Brown's plus 140. He was 7-1 coming in, and now he's the favorite.
Wow.
Luka's 6-1. Man, Luka, it would be nice if Luka had like a 10-1, but his numbers are so
I took a little flyer on Kyrie coming into the series on 22-1.
Now he's now up to 100-1.
Yeah, it should be.
He's got the same odds as PJ Washington.
That's tough.
Yeah.
He's having a good series.
Yeah.
He's doing great.
All right. Fantastic stuff. Hey, coming up later here, make sure you stream us on the socials. We're talking all things college football, summer ball, episode 2, Beef. Ryan Beef Coyle, Mark Henry Jr., Joe Tanzi, myself. We'll be doing that about 7:15 tonight, live on YouTube, live on socials, on the Gambler socials. And then you'll be able to hear it tomorrow and on Friday as well. Final thoughts before we get out of here, boys. Sean Barnard.
Mavs in. No, I'm not willing to go that far. But Mavs win Game 3. I'll
Mavs
start right there.
Game 3.
I was like, whoa.
I do think Mavs win Game 3 will be my final thought. My final thoughts there is we got a series again. As much as it's unfortunate for Porzingis, I do think this changes things a little bit, and I do just straight up expect the Mavericks to look better tomorrow night. So don't count the series as dead just yet.
All right, John Jansen, final thoughts.
Bring in Danny Jansen. Let's get Danny Jansen at the trade deadline.
There you go.
Bring in a Jansen.
My final thought is I am investing in a stain stick, one of those pens, those stain stick pens, and I'm putting it in my backpack.
Good, because I could use one too sometimes.
Exactly.
Hot dog contest ready.
Yeah, we all could. It should be a no-brainer. It should be in the backpack. It should be in the car.
Especially white t-shirt. Yeah, just immediately. White t-shirt on. Got to do it.
In the car. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And I have dropped the ball. All right. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck on those plays. Go Phils. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Hey, good show for you tomorrow. We'll have Julian Edlow. We'll talk all things NBA Finals Game 3 as he's up there in Boston. I saw him just tweet out about Porzingis injury. Said that's not good. Great breakdown, Julian. So he'll join us at 3:30 at his normal spot. And then Patrick McDonald talking all things U.S. Open from CBSSports.com. He's going to join me at 4:05 tomorrow. So jam-packed show and a daily ticket. Looking forward to both of those interviews. Make sure you check us out all things socials. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. Go Phils. We'll talk to you.